to Reform Gangsters live. Don't forget, if you like my content, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. Also, check out my Patreon. You know, it's Firsthand Mafia History Membership Month this month. Memberships start at $1 to come check out my videos. So, you know, please do. Because I know that you're going to like something. There's a lot of really good stuff on there. You know, I also, before I get started, I want to thank my sponsor, Pen Tester. You know, it's a cyber security company. It's really good. So if you need cyber security, you know, you can contact them at pentester.com. I know the owners personally. They're great guys, and the company is dynamite. You know, check it out. You know, I got some questions here that Patreon members already sent in. So I'm going to go through a couple of them, and then I'll open it up to you know, whoever's out there now on Thanksgiving Eve, which I know is a really, really big party night. And actually, the first question is, growing up, what did Thanksgiving Eve look like in my house? And so when I was a kid, Thanksgiving Eve really was just another day. Like, it was just another Wednesday. When I was a little kid, you know, they would, a lot of times on Thanksgiving, we didn't eat home. We went to my relatives' houses, always on my father's side of the family. Never, ever did we go to my mother's side of the family on Thanksgiving. It was always my father's side. It was my grandmother when she was alive, and then when she passed away, it would be my Aunt Mary's house, or my Uncle Sonny's house, or my Aunt Tessie's house, and we would go to their houses for Thanksgiving. I remember, and it was always festive, and they would, so the day before, my mother would start preparing stuff for them, and then on Thanksgiving, we would go by their houses. Now, when I got older, and I started running around with my old man and Tony Lee and everybody, you know, it was a different story. On that Wednesday, we would all meet in the club, and then we'd go to the Ravenite. That's a fact. You know, we'd go to the Ravenite, see Neil. They would have a spread there, hang out. Everybody would play pinochle. You know, it was very festive. And then we would go back to the neighborhood, and of course, we all went out that night. You know, we all went clubbing, and you know, to discos, and you know, it was like New Year's Eve. It was a big party night, and then the next day, of course, we all, you know, ate dinner with our families. You know, so it wasn't. The next one is about traditions. Did Fat Andy have traditions? And yeah, the tradition was to be with your family. That was it. My father was a big family guy. He was a gangster, but he was a good father, a good son, a good brother. You know, that was his tradition. His tradition was Thanksgiving he spent with his family. When his brothers and sisters were alive, we would spend time with them. Then later on with us, and even when he separated from my mother and went to Florida before he got arrested, we would go to Florida and spend Thanksgiving with him, or stay up in New York and spend Thanksgiving with my mother, and then go down to Florida for New Year's. We spent New Year's Eve all the time with my father, but that's a story for another day. The next question was Thanksgiving one of those holidays where the street life mixed with the family life? Yes. Like I said earlier, when I got older, the street life, you know, we went to the Ravenite, you know, not so much when John died, you know, after, you know, like I always say this, like after John became the boss, the Ravenite atmosphere changed for us. So like on the Thanksgiving Eve, we would go there. But when John took over, we wouldn't go there. Like we would just go to the Bergen to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. So that was it. And it was definitely separate from our family life. But Christmas Eve, after we ate dinner, a lot of Christmas Eves, people would come to my house throughout the night, like wise guys, associates would finish with their family, and they would come to my house and hang out and drink at my house. was always full on Christmas Eve and even Thanksgiving. After they ate with their families, they would come to my house because we had a bar in my house on 88th Street. We had a bar and in the basement, and it was always, people were always in and out all throughout the holidays. The next one is, did any well-known guys from the neighborhood, Jimmy Berg, Tommy DeSimone, Henry Hill, or anybody from the clubs ever stop by or call on Thanksgiving? Not on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, no. The day before Thanksgiving, yes. You know, by the club, by Boldocks, by the bars that we stood in, yes. People would come and say hello. People would come to wish us happy Thanksgiving. We would go see people, you know, but never on the day. On the day, we all stood really in our homes with our families, unless we were out in restaurants, unless we had Thanksgiving out in restaurants, which was very rare. Very rare. You know, the mob guys, just because we were mob guys, we had families, you know, we celebrated the holidays with our families. You know, we went out into the street for part of it to be respectful, but most of the time we were home with our families. The next one is, were there specific dishes or foods your family always had on Thanksgiving? Anything your mother or grandmother made? Yeah, you know, listen, that's a great question. And I talk about this all the time. It was always some kind of macaroni dish. Most of the time it was lasagna or marigots or raviolis or baked ziti, always homemade with the gravy meat, you know, with the meatballs and the sausage and the neck bones and the pig skins, and always that first. Always that first, and then the turkey, and then the turkey and the stuffing. It was amazing how much, and it lasted for hours. It went from the pasta and, you know, the baked ziti and whatever it was, the lasagna, the marigots, whatever it was, and the sauce meat, and then a little break, and then the turkey and the dressings, you know, and the sides with the turkey, and then take a little break, and then it was the fruit. The big fruit platters came out, and the walnuts and the chestnuts came out. You know, so it was an all-day affair. But it always started out, in my family, it always started out with an Italian dish before we got to the turkey all the time. Not so much anymore. Let's see what else we got here. Do you remember the first Thanksgiving where you really understood who your father was and how the life affected your holiday? You know, like I said, when I was a kid, I always knew something was different, and especially on the holidays, because on the holidays, a lot of guys would come to my house, you know, especially after later on in the day or early in the evening, and they would stay there till 2, 3 in the morning drinking. And so there was always people coming in and out of my house on the holidays, always. I got one here. Did your father ever talk about what he was thankful for? Did he ever get sentimental on holidays? You know, not really, no. You know, he didn't get sentimental, but he was affectionate on the holidays, you know, hugging you and kissing you, and, you know, but I don't think, I would say it was sentimental. It was more loving. He was, you know, he was more loving on the holidays, you know, yeah. But I don't think it was like sentimental. He was no spiritual giant, my father. Let's see what we got here. As you got older and were around the life more, what did Thanksgiving Eve look like for you personally compared to when you were a kid? Like I said, you know, when I got older, I would go out to the club first, and then I would go to the Raven night with my father. Then I would go home and eat, and then I was out in the clubs, you know, then I was out in the discos, you know, the Monastery, Broadcasters Inn, you know, the Hippo, you know, later on, you know, the Ritz, Studio 54. You know, I would always go clubbing after we ate something on Wednesday. You know, after we ate dinner, I would always go out clubbing till the next day, till the morning actually, and then go home, get a couple hours sleep, and then, you know, celebrate Thanksgiving. But when I was little, it was just, you know, just a regular holiday, and I would just go to my family's. Let's see. I got one here. Now that you're sober and living a completely different life, what's the biggest Thanksgiving lesson from your past that still stays with you? You know, I wish I would have spent more time with my family. I wish I would have spent more time at home, um, and not went out partying like I did on Wednesday, the night before Thanksgiving. Because the next day, like when I got older and I would go out all night on Wednesday and you know, party. And the next day, even though I celebrated it with my family, I was like out of it. You know what I mean? So I wish I would have just cut down on the partying. I guess that would be the best way to explain that. So this is a good one. Let's see what we got here. Mafia Thanksgiving myths and realities. A myth. Mafia guys got together for big Thanksgiving feast at the clubs. Yes, but only on the Wednesday, never on Thursday, never on the day of Thanksgiving, outside of Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, we went to the Ravenite or 101st Avenue later on when John became the boss. But Christmas Eve, we always went to not Christmas Day, never. Christmas Eve, the day before Thanksgiving and New Year's Eve, we were out partying, but not the holiday itself. Reality, most families kept Thanksgiving private. The life paused, but never completely stopped. Yeah, it was private. This is a myth. No business was ever done on holidays. Business was done whenever business popped up. I mean, if we were out in the Ravenite or we were out in a bar or we were out in a club and it was a holiday, and something had to be discussed, it was discussed. Let's see. Let's open it up now to, let's just open it up. Just give me a second. I got something here. I just want to give a shout out I'm so sorry that I can't pronounce your name. Thank you for the donation. It's RAGHAVSRIN. I want to thank you for the donation. Also, I just got a text message from Louis Tasman, who is John Gotti's adopted son. I want to give him a shout out too. We're going to have some stuff coming up in the near future, him and I. It's going to be very interesting, so everybody stay tuned, and more information on that will be coming your way. So I'm looking forward to that. So like I said, I'll give you more information on that soon. Here's a good question. How was Thanksgiving in prison? That's a good question. So let's put it in perspective. I did New York State time in state prisons, and I did Fed time in federal prisons. New York State time, the food sucked. In the mess hall, we cooked ourselves in our cells, but you can't cook a turkey in your cell. So on Thanksgiving, we processed like a slice of turkey. It was disgusting. Now the feds, on the other hand, they gave you the real thing. I mean, they gave you a good meal on Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's Day. You got a good meal. I mean, it was real turkeys they used to make real turkeys and then strip them down. And, you had the candy yams, they made a good, and they would give you the turkey and they would wrap it up in tinfoil. And everybody would just get tin, and you open up and it'd be full of turkey meat, and it was decent, But of course, and they had entertainment in the yards, We had and tournaments, card tournaments. We had a prison band playing, and there was handball tournaments and pinochle tournaments, and it was pretty festive. I mean, everybody, we made the best of it. I mean, me personally, I didn't like the holidays in prison because I missed my kids, I missed my family a lot on the holidays, especially around Christmas time. I think that was the worst time, the couple of weeks between Christmas and New Year's, because time slowed down, because the movements in the prison, see, you would have to go to prison to understand what I'm saying. The movements in the prison would slow down, because the civilians that worked in the prisons would go on vacations. So the things that went on in the prisons, like going to see a movie, going to the library, all these things would close down for a couple of weeks, because the civilians that worked in them would be on vacations. So time sort of slowed down because now you didn't have much to do. Because in jail, and this might be hard for people to understand, but in jail, the days go by fast, but the years go by slow. And you would have to go to prison to understand what I'm talking about. And I don't want you to go to prison. So, the days, for me anyway, the days went by fast, but the years went by slow. And I just did not like it around the holidays, especially the Christmas holiday. All right, I'm waiting for more questions to come in. Okay, here we go. Tracy, Anthony, wishing you and your family happy Thanksgiving. Same to you, Trace. Happy Thanksgiving, buddy. 320 Hill. Yo, sober boy, how you doing? I'm doing good. Doing real good. This is from Lee Cunningham. Hi, Andy from England. Hey, what's going on over there? I know you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, but happy Thanksgiving anyway. It's from Sherry. Can you tell us what you are cooking tomorrow? I'm not cooking. I'm going down to Miami. I went to the Italian supermarket and I bought Italian cheesecakes and Italian pastries and Italian cookies. I pre-ordered them. I'm picking them up and I'm going to bring them all down to the dinner that I'm going to with my daughter and some other family members. But I'm not cooking anything personally. I'm just bringing the Italian delicacies. Hi, Anthony. This is from Robert, Old Eastern Parkway and Pacific. Hey, how you doing? Oh, here it is. Hi, Anthony. I'm an Old Eastern Parkway and Pacific Street guy. Knew every name you mentioned, including your dad. Hey, Robert, what's going on? Thank you. From Pal. Was Nino Gaggi an asshole? I didn't really know him well. I know he was respected, very dangerous, made a lot of money. I never heard anything that he was an asshole. I never heard them kind of stories about him. I know he had a tough crew, a very tough crew. Let's see. You ever celebrate Thanksgiving with John? Like I said, I would see John on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. When I was younger, I would see him at the Ravenite. And then when, he became the boss, we would go to the Bergen before he went to the Ravenite. And we would always go there and wish them all a happy Thanksgiving and pay our respects. But I never spent the Thanksgiving Day with him, never. From Derek, Anthony, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, buddy. This is from a female, but I just can't pronounce her name. Have a nice holiday with your family. Do you speak Italian? I love your show. From Anita, I think. Unfortunately, I don't speak Italian. My grandparents did. And thank you for loving my show. I really appreciate that. And you too have a great holiday. Let's see. Thanksgiving is a big football betting day. Any stories about that? Yeah, of course I bet every Sunday, every Thanksgiving, it's tradition. But in Ozone Park back in the day, in the 70s and the 60s and the 70s, and even into the 80s a little bit. So, Ozone Park, Aqueduct Racetrack is in Ozone Park. And back in the day, racetracks were huge and 20, 30,000 people would go to the racetrack on the Saturday, and Thanksgiving, Aqueduct was always open. And like the first race was at like 10 o'clock in the morning and it would be packed. And for years, that was like a tradition. My whole neighborhood, like all the knockaround guys would go to Aqueduct on Thanksgiving. It was cool. So that's one thing we did. And then we would bet football, of course, without a doubt. From Vince, good evening, Anthony. What types of music do you like? I like a lot of stuff. I like everything. I'm not too crazy about hip hop. I like the old hip hop. I don't like the new stuff. I think the new stuff sucks. But I'm a big rock and roll guy. I like, I mean, I love concerts. I still go. I just went a couple of weeks ago with my daughter to see Dua Lipa. And I love Dua Lipa. I like the Killers. I like the Stones. I like a lot of stuff. I like a lot of stuff. I like Sinatra, Dean Martin. I like a lot of stuff. I can't just put my finger on one type of music. Has John Gotti Jr. been shelved? Oh yeah, that's a known fact. He's been shelved for years. He's been shelved for years. This is from Free Something. Who was the most feared guy in Staten Island? Not Sammy, no, Tommy Bilotti. Tommy Bilotti, Tommy Karate, they were the most feared. The Swede was, how was Roy like? Did he seem crazy or not? Nice guy. Listen, he never acted crazy. He was a stone cold killer. He was dangerous, but he never presented as crazy. Like he would come into the Raven Eye always by himself. And, he was always quiet and respectful, and he would walk in, go in the back, and talk to whoever he had to talk to, and then he would leave. And the couple of times I saw him at the Gemini Lounge, we would go in there, and him and my old man would go in the back, and they would talk, and then we would have a couple of drinks, and we would leave. So he never acted crazy in front of me, but I knew he was dangerous, and I knew, he was killing a lot of people. When you were in the life, how many gangsters used drugs heavily? A lot, a real lot. The only difference between me and them is I partied all over town. They partied behind closed doors, but a lot. Believe me, more than anybody thinks. This is from Gitano. Hey, Mr. Ruggiano, hey, how you doing? Irish Green Anthony. I'm glad I'm Irish because my Italian friends would have so much food. We were all poor, but we had a turkey and potatoes, maybe a pie. When did you eat more? When did you eat more, Thanksgiving or Christmas? Well, Christmas Day, we ate the same thing we ate on Thanksgiving Day, and on Christmas Eve, we always ate fish. So it was always a lot of food. Always a lot of food. Over the years, who did you bet on more, Dallas or Detroit on Thanksgiving? Always Detroit. It's funny because Dallas is called America's team. And when I remember when I was a kid, my old man used to tell me, who the fuck made Dallas America's team? He hated Dallas. He would always say, who the hell made them America's team? So it was always Detroit. Dallas came on to Thanksgiving later on. Detroit was the original team, original thing that started. Who do I like tomorrow? Honestly, I like Green Bay against with the points against Detroit. I don't trust Detroit's coach. I think he takes too many chances. I don't trust him. I don't like how they played last week against the Giants. So I think I like Green Bay. I like Kansas City. I like Baltimore. Those are the Thanksgiving Day games. Those are the three games I like. And on tomorrow night, on Friday night, I like. I would say I have to go with Philly. I have to go with the Eagles. Blackfoot. Happy Thanksgiving from Canada. Same to you. I have to ask for an Italian in the USA. What is your favorite meal for Thanksgiving? And do you throw your pasta on the wall? No, I don't throw my pasta on the wall. It's always al dente. My favorite meal actually is, the turkey and the stuffing, I guess, on Thanksgiving. I love the stuffing. If it's made right, I love the stuffing. From Ramon Davis, were there any wise guys from St. Louis in your time? Did St. Louis have presence in the mob? Not in New York, but I only met wise guys from back in the day, from Buffalo, from Chicago, from New Orleans, from Cleveland, from Philly, from Jersey. Um, I never met any of them actually from St. Louis, no. Uh, did you ever hear of Thanksgiving making ceremonies? No, only on Christmas, never Thanksgiving. From the Suede, did you ever meet Dominic Mentangelo? No, I never did. I know who you're talking about, but I never met him, no. Let's see what I got here. Do you or your family go into the city to see the Rockefeller Christmas tree? We used to go all the time. When I was a little kid, my grandmother took me to Radio City, the tree, and St. Patrick's every year. Back then, Disney always previewed a movie. Back then, we would see a Disney movie and the Christmas show. I went every year with my grandmother. Later on, when I got older, I would take my son. I would go periodically. As a matter of fact, to be honest with you, I'm going to New York on December 9th to do another mob tour, because the mob tours have been a hit, and I'm happy for that. I'm glad that everybody's enjoying them, because I enjoy doing them. So I'm going up there on December 9th, and I'm going to be in Manhattan on the 10th. So if anybody wants to, hang out, DM me. But it's funny because I actually looked to see how much the tickets are to see the Christmas show, because I was thinking about going. And the tickets are $180 a pop. It's crazy. I mean, it's, to go with me and another person, you're talking $400 to see the Christmas show for two people. I don't know how do people survive anymore? It's crazy, but I would love to go see it again, but I'm not going to spend $400 to go see it. I mean, if I had it like that, I would, but I don't have it like that, so I can't. I mean, it was at one time I would take my whole family in a limousine to see the Christmas show, to see the tree. I would take us all in a limo. Them days are over. This is from Irish Green. I'm grateful I found your channel years ago. It made me think of New York City memories, some good and some bad. You helped me out of a lot of happy Thanksgiving. Thank you to you and your family. Same to you, buddy. I was just about to ask about New Orleans. Yeah, I met a couple of wise guys from New Orleans in Florida. What about the Thanksgiving Day parade? Did you go to it in the past or watch it? It's funny because my daughter asked me about that last night, and I actually only went personally there once. And the reason why I went was because a friend of mine's office building was right on the route of the parade, and his windows, they opened the day of the parade, so the people that worked there could go and stay at the windows, and he invited me, and I went with my son. My son was about 6 years old, and I went to the parade. That was the only time I went personally, but I used to watch it all the time on the TV to see the floats and everything. So, yeah, but I only went to it actually once personally. From Cash. That was a great story about Bobby Poles. He climbed poles. Yeah, he worked for the telephone company. He was Greek. He was a good guy. He got arrested with us. Yeah, he was a cool guy. I like Bobby Pole. I always liked him. Happy Thanksgiving from Oklahoma. Thank you. Same to you, buddy. From Dell. What did you consider the quintessential Mafia automobiles from the past? Cadillacs and Lincolns, man. Cadillacs and Lincolns. Back when I was a kid, the 60s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, Cadillacs and Lincolns. That was the shit, man. Cadillacs and Lincolns. From Wildcat, happy Thanksgiving, same to you. From Frank White, happy Thanksgiving, same to you. I appreciate that. Did your family play cards or pinochle on the holidays? On Wednesdays in the Ravenite, they always play pinochle, but we never did it in our houses. No, we never did. We never did. We watched sports. We never played any parlor games. No. I'm sure people did. We didn't. From Anthony. Hey, Anthony, sending love from Buffalo. Hey, how you doing? Same to you. And happy Thanksgiving. Any good stories about Frankie DeChico's father, Vinny Boozy? I never met Frankie DeChico's father. My old man and Tony Lee were good friends with him. I never had the privilege of meeting him. I met his uncles and him, but never the father. Let's see what we got here. From Ramon. Anthony, did you watch The Age of Disclosure, the documentary about aliens? Do you think there is a government cover-up? I haven't watched it yet, but I definitely plan on watching it. And I always believed there was a cover-up, without a doubt. Yeah, but I haven't watched it, but I am definitely going to watch it. So listen, everybody out there, where was you all from? Tell me in the chat where you're all from around the world. I know Thanksgiving's only celebrated in the United States, but you know, every part of the world and every family has something to be thankful for. From Chris, hey Anthony, did you know the Bath Avenue crew? I didn't know them. I didn't really know them. Jimmy and all of them, I didn't really know them. I knew of them, but I didn't know any of them personally. A couple of them got killed, which is unfortunate. A couple of them did a lot of time. I knew the guys they were around. I knew a couple of the wise guys that they were around, but I didn't really know them. Old school gangster. You look good, Anthony, losing some weight. I wish you happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, I lost over 30 pounds. Thanks. Omar, did you ever hear the name Umberto Valenti from your father or his friends? Not really. Not off the top of my head, no. Hey, Buffalo, hey, Florida. Dory Dom, how you doing? Sherry, shout out from Atlantic City. Same to you, Sherry. Sherry, you live in Atlantic City? I always come to Atlantic City. I have family that lives up there. This from Miami. Hey, how are you? Who's this? Who's this from Miami? I can't pronounce his name. Maurice. Hey, happy Thanksgiving to you. I have one here, a derogatory one. I'm not even going to read it. Got something. What's wrong with me? I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't know. Nothing's wrong with me. Okay, listen, it's a pleasure. I want to thank all my Patreon members. And if anybody out there that's not a Patreon member, check out my Patreon page. Membership start at $1. I want to wish all my Patreon members and all my members to be a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. Everybody enjoy the meals tomorrow. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your friends and enjoy your life. And I want to thank everybody for being Patreon members, and that's what I'm grateful for. And I'm thankful for that I could come on here and spend some time with everybody and, have a few laughs and, discuss important matters and not so important matters. So everybody stay healthy and grateful. And if you like my content, hit the subscribe button and please